Hello, welcome back to another episode of A Weekly Waypoint. Today we are continuing our stroll down open world racing lane. Last week we played Forza Horizon 3. Today we are playing Forza Horizon 4. Isn't it wild how that works out? This is, I think, the first time I've played this game in about 3 years, from what I can tell based on like the last achievement I got was in 2021. We are also playing this on PC, on Ultra, all that good stuff. Just like last week with Forza Horizon 3. This isn't actually my first time playing Forza Horizon on PC. Fun fact, when I first bought this game, it was before I even had an Xbox. I saw that it was coming to PC, I kind of picked up wind on what Forza Horizon was as a series, realised it was entirely my jam, and I think it was the first time I ever bought an Ultimate Edition of a game. This was back when it was first releasing as well, so it was full price. And unfortunately my computer at the time didn't quite have enough VRAM to run it. It kept stopping and having to load mid-race. It was a problem, and I never got to enjoy this game to its fullest until I got my Xbox Series S, but it's nice to come full circle and bring it back around to PC and enjoy it at its best. Now, quick note about this game. If you like the look of it, if you know that you enjoy open world racing games, if you get the impression that you're probably going to like Forza Horizon 4, and if you are someone who would like it on PC or who has like a Series S, doesn't have a disc drive, would like it digitally, get it sooner rather than later because it is being delisted around the start of December. It's not on sale from what I've seen right now. It was when they made the announcement, and they've insinuated that it will be again before it goes off sale. So yeah, if it drops low enough, honestly, I might grab it on Steam before it leaves Steam, if it's like under £5. And it might be, because from what I remember of like Forza Motorsport 7, when it was being delisted, it went on like deep discount. But just like with Forza Motorsport 7 as well, they have said if you have spent any money on DLC in the game from before a certain date, I assume it's from before the date of the announcement so people don't just get it cheaper, they will send you a game code, which is kind of why I've bought the premium add-ons bundle for Forza Horizon 5 and just play it through Game Pass. I'm hoping the same thing will apply in a few years' time with that one. Now, of course, last week we were playing Forza Horizon 3, and I was talking about how it's a shame that you can't buy this game anymore, and I wish they would find a way to bring that back. Clearly they're not working on that if they are actively about to delist Forza Horizon 4, and I think it's a damn shame that they're going to do this because, you know, it's a fucking phenomenal game. I think the F-bomb was warranted. I say that like I don't drop F-bombs left, right and centre on this channel. I have a sailor's mouth, what can I say? Yar mateys and all that. I've said this before and I'll say it again, I believe that this game has mass market appeal outside of racing game enjoyers even. Like, if you enjoy video games, I think you will enjoy Forza Horizon 4. So there's my pitch for this game for you. The online services will remain online, and indeed I have joined some online adventure and done a bit of Forza-thon. Unfortunately, the seasonal rotation of like seasonal challenges and stuff did end a couple of months ago. That was kind of to be expected. I'm surprised they lasted this long. But yeah, due to their nature as racing games with a ton of licensed car manufacturers inside, it's no surprise that it was going to be delisted sometime. I know I say I wish they could find a way to bring these back and have them online in perpetuity, and I still do, but also, you know, I can be a realist. I understand why these things happen. They did note that there are some achievements which are now unobtainable if you haven't already got them. I'm pretty sure I don't have the achievement to do every single... I forget how the online live event system works at this point, but I'm pretty sure it was like, you know, it would rotate through 4 weeks, through 4 seasons, and they have said the seasons will continue to rotate weekly, but all the same, it would come with like 8 challenges a week or something, and some of them will be pretty difficult to complete. And one of them was to do every single challenge in a rotation of the 4 seasons, or something like that. And I remember I put a lot of work into not missing a week and doing every single one of those, and for whatever reason I didn't get the achievement, and I was really annoyed. I was like, I'll do it another day, and then I never did, and now that day will never come. It will forever be a missing achievement unless I got around to it and forgot that I already did it. But this game has a lot of gamer score to earn, so I'm not gonna. I tend to, the way my completionist brain rationalizes games like this, where some of the gamer score is no longer obtainable, is just like, if you can obtain all obtainable gamer score at the moment that you do it, you've perfected the game, don't worry about it. But even with my 100 hours in this game, which is pretty much what I've got according to my game time on Xbox, I'm nowhere near complete. In fact, I was surprised. I said this about Forza Horizon 3 last week, that I was surprised that I still had so much to do. With Forza Horizon 4, given how much I've played it, I'm surprised that there's anything left for me to do, but I saw when I was looking at the world map, there's some race events I've never even touched, so yeah, I'm going to get around to doing those. But at the minute, I do have Forza Horizons 3, 4, and 5 downloaded onto my external SSD, and let me tell you, that's quite a lot of data. That's quite a lot of racing games squeezed onto that drive. I actually had to uninstall a few things for the first time in my external SSD's lifespan. So, yeah, sorry Warhammer 40k Inquisitor, sorry EverQuest 2. You're out of here for the minute while I figure out what I'm doing with Forza Horizon. What I'll probably do, because I have played this one to death, I'll probably just uninstall 4 and keep 3 and 5 around. And yes, next week we will be doing Forza Horizon 5. I still don't know how well that's going to run on my PC, or the external SSD specifically. Like, are the load times going to be 5 minutes? We'll find out together. It would be nice to just have Forza Horizon 5 on my drive, and then every week I can do the Crew Motorfest's live events and Forza Horizon 5's live events, until inevitably my hyperfixations pulled me away from racing games. Remember when I said I was never going to uninstall No Man's Sky again and I was just always going to load it up and play it every day? I still haven't learned. Okay, I didn't say I was going to load it up and play it every day, but I was definitely under the impression that I would always want to be playing it. I don't know why I convinced myself of these things. I know how my brain works. I'm an officer in a Guild Wars 2 guild, and I was really excited to be all up in that community, and haven't logged into that game in a month. Sorry everyone. But yeah, to get back to Forza Horizon 4 and what it's like coming back after 3 years. Firstly, holy heck, I have a lot of cars in this game. I realised I hadn't even claimed most of my car pass cars, because this is, along with Forza Horizon 5, one of the Forzas where I bought all the bells and whistles with it. I think I have over 500 cars in my garage. I do kind of feel the itch to try and collect them all, but Forza Horizon 5 is definitely more rewarding in that sense, with the whole sticker book aspect of things. And also the main reason I feel like I'm going to play Forza Horizon 5 going forwards instead of 4, even though I do prefer 4's open world, probably because I am British, and despite the many problems we have with this country, I do like the landscape. But no, the main reason I'll probably be playing 5 instead of 4 is just for seasonal stuff, like not having it be there, having that sense of something that's been discontinued within the game. It does make it feel a little sad, a little bit more hollow, a shell of what it was, even though the online multiplayer aspects are still there. I did have some fun, like I already mentioned, although half the time it feels like it doesn't work, it won't connect. But maybe it's also just because I've spent so much time in this game already, I've kinda seen it all, even though I haven't technically seen it all. Now then, this is a time of the video where I tell you about the games that I've been playing this week, except that's a little bit awkward because it's mostly just been RuneScape and chill. That being said, I actually acquired a few games this week, so I should probably talk about those at least, right? And I can talk about games I've been thinking about grabbing and wanting as well. I acquired 2 monster taming games named Koromon and Nexomon. One of them is a pixel arty thing, and the other's more of a general cartoony arty thing. I do actually already own Nexomon on Xbox, and I've made a little progress in it, and I was going to make a video about it back in the day, but it ended up falling prey to a file size purge when I decided I wasn't going to continue playing it for the moment, and I would like it on Steam. It was like £3, and I want to support indie developers doing cool things, so I'm happy to buy it again. But I haven't loaded up Nexomon yet. I've loaded up Koromon, and I've got 2.5 hours played in that game, and what I'm going to tell you is this: if you are looking for an alternative to Pokémon on PC, that game is very cool. It probably won't steer you wrong. I like the designs I've seen, I like the pixel art in general. It's a very pretty game, although it can feel a little overbearingly pixely in a way that's hard to explain. Like, it's a little overwhelming, just like the UI when it's all pixel font and everything. But yeah, no, I mostly have good things to say about this game. That being said, I do feel like I'm bouncing off of this game, and it's probably just me. It's not you, it's me, as I've said to hundreds of other games in the past. I was thinking about other games I've picked up over the year earlier. I was thinking about Enshrouded, and I was thinking about, oh my god, I don't even remember the name of it. God, I'm terrible. Wayfinder, that's the one. But yeah, plenty of games I've been picking up, where I've just been very excited for them. I played a couple of hours for them, and I've just wandered off. I don't know why I'm even saying these words out loud, because this isn't used to anyone who's ever watched an episode of A Weekly Waypoint before. I always do this, it's not a problem, because I still feel like I got some enjoyment out of Koromon for the price that I paid. And I'm not definitively putting it in the not playing anymore corner, I'm just being realistic about my attention span. I was also really tempted to pick up that TCG Shop Simulator, the game that's basically Supermarket Simulator but a trading card game. But I've held off because I'm confused. So, in-game, you're running this shop, you're selling packs of Tetramon cards, and I've gone, wow, that's so cool, they've made an entire monster collecting kind of like thing of hundreds and hundreds of them, just for this game, that's great. Except I've looked a little deeper and I found something that most people don't seem to be talking about, and that's that Tetramon is actually a real mobile game developed by, from what I can tell, a completely different individual. And I don't know if they got permission to use the cards in the game, given that this game is very much asset flippy in terms of Unity assets and stuff. I kind of feel like probably not. And I'm not holding off on buying it off of like a morals thing entirely, although it does feel a bit icky if that is true. But mostly just like, if Tetramon look at this extremely successful game that's using their art and been sued, and they're going to have to change all the assets, and I don't want to get invested in this world of hundreds of Tetramon if it's all going to change. Again, I have no definitive proof. Oh, by the way, with this, I found this Chevrolet pretty hard to control, so there's going to be a lot of rewinding in this race. I have no definitive proof that this has occurred, but like, A, I've seen hardly anyone talking about the mobile game, and B, there's hardly any information online about the fact that this person is using these Tetramon, and they see, like, from what I can tell, they seem to be a different developer based in a different country, and I've seen one YouTube comment that's like, no, they also own the Tetramon mobile stuff, don't be stupid, but they didn't list any sources! So I'm really hoping I'm wrong, and that I'm just overthinking this, and that I should just get the trading card game. But yeah, I know you could also like mod in like Pokémon instead, but honestly, the appeal of this thing to me is the official, if it is official, the official like Tetramon stuff, you know. So there's a game I played a little of and a few games that I did not play. How's that for this section? Up next, we've got reading, and I don't really like to do this in a segment, but it is the reality of things sometimes, of just, see last week. It's pretty much the same. I'm still reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and I guess I could use this space to talk about a little bit spoiler-free about how I feel about it, maybe? Because for those of you that don't know, Elantris is Brandon Sanderson's first published novel, and it's widely regarded as good, but not as good as his later stuff. And I agree. And I'm still trying to put my finger on what it is about Elantris that just makes it kind of okay. I feel like I can't delve too far into my thoughts on why this is without getting into spoiler territory, and I'm like probably a third of the way through the book still, so there's, you know, it's still got plenty of room to grow, but it's got some really good potential of like some really interesting lore, some really interesting plot points, some really fun characters. But it does spend a decent amount of time exploring like religious themes in a way that's a little bit more heavy-handed than what I've experienced with in Brandon Sanderson's later works. And I think what I'm rubbing up against here is purely just like, when it comes to religious stuff in books, in fantasy, I think I prefer it more from an angle of either a bunch of people believe this religion and it's not real, or a bunch of people believe this religion and it's ambiguous as to whether it's real. And with this book, to be fair, it's not been said outright whether it's like a real part of the lore of this world, or whether it's just like a faith that's happened because of the way culture's grown or whatever. But I do get the sense that this religion is probably the real deal. And there's just no real characters questioning it. There's no real like atheists in the book. I'm not saying there needs to be, but I guess when it comes to religion, it's very like, yeah, I don't know, I guess I like it a little bit more cynical, I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, I'm still trying to put my finger on what it is about this book that's bothering me. But for the most part, I am enjoying it. I also think the audible narrator, through no fault of his own, is a little distracting with how he sounds. He reminds me a little bit of, who's the cop in Family Guy? Hey, Peter. He reminds me of that guy. I'm also still reading The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. I've made a decent amount of progress through that book in the last week, and by a decent amount I mean probably 100 pages. I am a fairly slow reader, but also, you know how it is, big epic fantasy book. Is it technically epic fantasy? I saw it referred to as a different kind of fantasy. But I feel like I've made a decent bit of headway through the book, and it's like really starting to burn now. It's really getting good. If I finish this book by this time next week, do not be surprised. For the third lane, did we have the third lane last week, or did I expand that this week? I kind of decided it would be okay. I talked about this in the Alex Rider Blurble Reasoning. I guess I should talk about that, huh? It took me like 2 days to read the first Alex Rider young adult novel, Stormbreaker, because it's like 200 pages, and it's like big font, wide margins, young adult fiction. It was nice to just rip through a book real quick, so I did that, and with that I kind of established like a third lane of I'm reading 3 books at a time, I guess, and so I decided to pick up Isaac Asimov's The Complete Robot. I talked about this as well a little bit in my Stormbreaker video. That's a collection of short stories he wrote, and I've always wanted to just read a collection of short stories. I've never done that, although it turns out it doesn't really have much, like, you know, unput-downable power, because you're stopping and starting stories every 10 or 15 pages or so. When there's no element of I want to see what happens next, it's hard to really stay invested, and I have to keep reminding myself to go back to it. I've only read the first 3 short stories, and I guess I could give you non-spoiler impressions really quick, although that is kind of spoiling the Blurble Reasoning. But A Boy and His Dog was okay, Sally was okay, and then Sunday was incredible. If you don't know, Isaac Asimov basically predicted generative AI storytelling, and that's one of those things where it seems very prescient, and it's only within like the last couple of years that anyone reading that would have gone, holy shit, that's prescient. But I've written notes. I'll talk more in detail about that when it gets to the Blurble Reasoning about that. But also, I have been continuing to read the graphic novel adaptation of Robert Jordan's Eye of a World, the first book in the Wheel of Time, because I was able to pick up the final issues of that, so now I have that in complete collection, which is pretty nice. So yes, my appetite knows no bounds. I crave fantasy, I crave science fiction, I crave speculative fiction. Feed it to me, I must devour it, I must go, ooh, that's a fun idea for a world, and a bit of history, and a magic system, and how that all ties together with the culture, and how the characters are all shitty people, except some of them are shitty people in an understandable way, and some of them are shitty people in an almost comedic way, and some of them are shitty people and they're just not much fun in the kind of a way. And then occasionally you have a good person, you go, oh look, a good person, and then you watch them get slowly turned into a shitty person over the course of the book due to the things that happen to them and the realistic expectations of how the human spirit might break under such conditions. I love it! I still intend to continue my Lord of the Rings read-through with the Two Towers after I finish Elantris. Judging by the speed with which I'm reading through Elantris, I will not be done with it before I get my next Audible credit, so that shall proceed apace. And then it'll probably go Two Towers, Warbreaker, which is another like included in Audible kind of a thing, and then Return of the King, and then Mistborn. So far, my desire to read and devour all of this fantasy fiction, all of this speculative fiction, if it's a hyperfixation, it's lasting a little longer than normal. I honestly think this is just a thing that was already a part of me that took a break from being a part of me and is now back to being a major part of who I am, and that's pretty cool. Then again, time makes fools of me, specifically. I know the phrase is time makes fools of us all, but it seems to specifically make a fool of me, and good thing I document my my fixations and my interests and the waxing and waning of such things, because you all get to enjoy the chaotic ride that is whatever the hell is going on in this sack of goo and nerves that I call a brain. Seriously, it's a lot of goo, right? Like, have you ever, like, opened up someone's head and witnessed the human brain? Because, I mean, not that I have, at least not provably, not legally. Legally speaking, I have not done that, but there's a lot going on in there. It's kind of wild. I'm feeling kind of hungry all of a sudden. Anyway, thank you very much for watching another episode with White. I just brains. Sorry. It's been fun doing enough brains. And brains. 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 Why does anyone subscribe to me?